Good morning, Andrea. How you doing this morning? I'm doing very good. Thank you. Glad you could make it. So today is a shortened class, as we talked about yesterday. So we're going to do the assignment as well as the assessment. I don't believe that we'll complete both of them, but I will give you all the necessary, the concepts, the tools that we will use to complete this assignment. So with that being said, let's jump into it. Cassandra, welcome. So for our agenda today, we're going to talk about Sitemap 101 because that is the assessment. We are building the sitemap, but before we can build the sitemap, we have to understand what a sitemap is. And then we're going to move on to show, don't tell, creating wireframes using XD. And again, we're going to talk about the wireframe process, why it is important, before we just jump into adding images, color, etc. Any questions? Let's jump over into the course. All right, let's look at the assessment. And as I said yesterday, you must create the sitemap, which is the assessment, before you can do the wireframe. So the assessment, we are going to prepare a sitemap. This is going to be created with Illustrator. So we're going to use Illustrator to create the sitemap. You need to choose a company. Andrea, have you decided upon a company yet? And what about you, Cassandra? The vet, okay, great. That would be a fun project. So you need to choose the company. Dante, welcome. All right, so you've got to choose, as I said, you will choose the company before you can proceed. You have 3 to choose from. These are the required pages. So the website, you have 4 pages. The mobile phone app, whether it's iPhone or Android, has 4 pages. There is some specific information right here. You can see these 3 pages, they're pretty much the same. You do have a login here on the mobile app, and you don't have a login on the website. But there's one additional page that's not included, that can't be included. So you can't just put all 4 pages on the mobile phone that you're using on the website. You have to come up with an additional page. We're going to talk about that. The tablet has a home page, but you have to have one additional page that is not on any of these pages. So that means you can't just say, well, I'm going to put the products and services pages on the tablet. You can't do that. And then you're going to save your Illustrator file as a PDF. I'm going to jump over into, if you want to do sketches, you can do sketches. I'm going to talk about that, but they're not required and you don't submit those. Sketches, if you did sketches, and that's a great step, but sketches would be really part of your design process. It's for you to solve the design problem at hand. It's to help you explore different solutions. So you should be doing sketches, yes, but they're not required and you don't submit them. These are the documents. So once you download the files, and I'm going to jump over into my Bridge. And how many of you use Bridge? I'm a huge fan of Bridge. I like Bridge because it's Adobe Bridge. You all have it. You all have Adobe Bridge. So here's my Bridge. The thing I like about Bridge is, look, instead of having to look for my folders and wherever they're at on my desktop every time, I can open up Bridge and I can, so let's just take this. Here's my desktop. So I have these specific folders. And then here's my folder that I have for this mod. So once I have this folder here, I can say, well, you know what, I want to go to, maybe I want just week 1 always over here so I can always find it. Or I could say, you know what, I'm going to drag this and put it over here in my favorites. So I can just open up Bridge and I can always, it'll be in my favorites. Then I can look at week 1. I can drag, so then I say, you know, maybe if I choose First Choice Animal Clinic, I'm going to drag the First Choice Animal Clinic over here. So now look, I don't have to keep looking and drilling down or trying to remember where did I have that folder at. It's here. When I don't want it, when I'm done with it, then I just right click and remove it from the favorites. It doesn't delete it off your system, it just removes it from your favorites. So you can see these are the assets I've downloaded. There is a Word document for each of these. A Word document for each of these companies. It is very important or critical that you read this document. The cool thing about this is we have, as I mentioned yesterday, you have the logo that's given to you. You have the images that are given to you that you will be using in week 2. There are no images are not used in week 1. So let's just jump over into back in to the documents. So we can kind of look at these. So remember, if we go back into the course, it says that for the website, we need a home page, a contact page, an about us page, and this is something very important, a products and services page. This is a generic label for this, meaning you're gonna have to change this on your sitemap. If I look at these, you can see that they all have a home page. All of these companies have a home page. They all have an about us page. First Choice Animal Clinic has, this could be another page, it could be part of this page, but here's their services. It doesn't have products, it says our services. If you look at Quality Travel, the services are vacation packages. If you look at Red Canyon Golf Village, the services are golf packages. It's not products and services, it is golf packages. The amenities could be it could be part of this page or it could be a separate page. And they all have a contact us page. Do you follow me? So if we go back here, you will label this accordingly. It's just not a generic products and services pages on your sitemap. Excuse me. So we have, again, we're going to address these as we complete the sitemap. But this is very important that it's not, this has to be labeled correctly. The tablet, if you have the home page, does that mean you can have a products, it says one additional page. Can you have a products and services page for the tablet? No, absolutely not. Exactly. So we're going to talk about these additional pages. But first, let's jump back into here. And this is the sitemap. So we're going to move into this, the assessment. The sitemap. What is a sitemap? You've all heard about a sitemap, right? You've all heard the term sitemap. So if you think about it, a website, it can be very confusing, extremely confusing if it's not planned carefully. So what does the sitemap do? Well, the sitemap helps you as a designer quickly map out the structure. You can plan the navigation. You plan the hierarchy for each device. We have a website, we have a phone, we have an iPad or a tablet. It also, this is a great opportunity for you to demonstrate your critical thinking skills and the logic behind your designed so that the navigation is simple for the user. We are putting ourselves in the shoes of the user. We are focusing on the user experience. So you can think of the sitemap as just like a blueprint or a roadmap for each device. All it does is it shows what all the pages are on each device. That's it. Right? So you can see I have a home page. How do I get to these other pages from the home page? Right? It shows that I have a subpage here of our team. The phone, the first page that you go to is the login page. Then you have to go to the home page. After you log in, you go to the home page. So it just shows where the pages are on each device. It's kind of a basic way to categorize pages, kind of like a table of contents. So it outlines what pages relate to which content on the website, the phone, and the tablet, right? How the pages connect to each other. So a sitemap, a good sitemap is going to create a plan that you can follow when you create the wireframe this week. So does the sitemap make a little bit more sense now since you've seen a visual? This is what we're going to create. Perfect. Okay, so this is very important that you know. Before we move on, this is something you have to be very aware of. A sitemap does not, okay, so a sitemap does not define the content of the page. Meaning it's not defining, it's not showing the layout or any information on the page. So it's not defining the visual layout, right? There's not images, there's not logos, there's not type placed on this at all. It's simple. I'm going to create this with a rectangle tool and a line tool. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. And of course, some text, a text frame. So what is one tool? What's one tool that you can use to solve this preliminary design phase of the sitemap? It's already been mentioned once. Andrea, sketching. You can sketch. So remember, we are creative problem solvers. And what does sketching do? Well, sketching allows us to explore multiple solutions very quickly. So it allows you to figure out the best design direction. So you could sketch very, very, very quickly. And the more design strategies that you explore through sketching, guaranteed, the greater the chances are of you developing a concept that is going to meet the goals and the client's expectations. So again, when you take the time to sketch, a cool thing happens. You start to think about all the ways that you can create the best user experience. And guaranteed that sketching is going to make you think and it's going to make you work faster. Guaranteed. So the great thing about the sitemap, though, is, or the great thing, not the sitemap, the great thing about sketching is you don't have to know how to draw. You don't have to have a talent to draw. You're just getting the basic concept down. And again, the sketching is not required, but it is really, it's a tool that you should all be using for everything. I even use sketching for business cards. Because sketching helps with problem solving. It helps with exploration, visual thinking. It helps with discovering. And it's just another tool that really you should have in your designer toolbox. Because 1 hour of, you think about this, 1 hour of preparation saves you 10 hours of unnecessary design. Would you all believe that, or do you think that's true? If 1 hour of prep saves me 10 hours of unnecessary design. Hands down, yes, guaranteed. So sketching, I wouldn't even have to sketch for an hour, but it's definitely going to save me a lot of time. So The sitemap, again, has to show the flow of the pages, how it's going to be structured. All right, let's jump over into Illustrator. We have to create this in Illustrator. We need 3 artboards, as the project instructions say. I'm going to jump over into Illustrator. I'm going to select from my print, I'm going to select an 8.5 by 11. How you want this, the orientation is your call. I feel that landscape is the best, meaning it's 11 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall. You want 3 artboards. You do not need a bleed. So this should be left as 0. So the artboards, so the sitemap is what you're going to be using for XD to help you to help you lay out your XD file. Did that answer your question? Okay, so we're not using, Illustrator's not being used for in XD. Illustrator is the sitemap. So if I create the sitemap, I'm going to just give you, let me just go back into here. So here's my sitemap, okay? This gives me my map of what I'm going to do for when I go to XD. For XD, I need these pages. My XD file has to match my sitemap. Does that make sense? So here is a finished, so here are my 4 artboards. Here are my 4 mobile phone, and then here's my 2 tablet. I need to have a home page. I need to have a products and services page. I need to have an about us page. I need to have a contact page. For the phone, I need to have a login page. A phone, the next page would be the home page. There's also a products and services page I need. And then I need to come up with one other page. And we're going to talk about that. For my tablet, I have a home page. And then I need to have one additional page. And that's all defined in the sitemap. So here's my home page. Let's go to the iPad. Here's my home page. And then I'm going to a pet adoption page. Does it make a little bit more sense? Login, homepage, our services, book your vacation. If this was, actually this is for, yeah, it'd be, so if I was doing it for the quality travel. That's why we do the sitemap. The sitemap and the wireframe have to match. You can't have different pages in the wireframe that aren't present on the sitemap. So as you can see right here, I have our team that says I'm saying I'm going to have 5 pages. I may think about adding our team under the about us. Why would I do that? Because it says, here's our team and about us. About us, our team is really, it shows it as under one page, and we could easily do that. Okay. Now, if you want, again, you should have no bleeds. There are no bleeds for this. If you want to specify how you want your artboards laid out, you can come to more settings. And then right here are the number of artboards. But right here allows you to specify, do you want them all, rows and columns? Do you want them by a grid? I like to arrange them by a row. You can arrange them by a column so that you have 1, 2, 3. But I like just a row. That means they're 1, 2, and 3. And then I create the document. There are my artboards. It's untitled. I can save this. I can also title this when I create this. Did you know that? Did you know that you can also name your file as you create it. Okay, perfect. And y'all know how to add an artboard in case you just skipped that and you just added one artboard. Okay, perfect. So my next step is the first thing I'm gonna do is name this. And it is going to be design 241 underscore, this is the assessment. Assessment 1 underscore my first and last name. And then I, of course, save it. Okay, we're ready to go. Now, you need to label each artboard. It makes it easier for me to provide feedback if you label each artboard. All right, so this is also, if you think about this, this is another golden opportunity for you to improve your Illustrator skills or sharpen your Illustrator skills, as well as your principles of design. Should principles of design be part of this project? What would you say? Most definitely. Okay, so I'm going to move over to this one. This is my web page. I'm going to create a text frame. Why do I do a text frame instead of just point text? Why do I do that? You know what the difference is between them? When I have point text, or point text means what happens is when I scale it, it doesn't scale correctly, it distorts it. If I have a text frame, I cannot distort that. If I want to change this to a text frame, I can just see this little circle right here that's open. I can double click on that, and that changes it to a text frame. See, it doesn't distort it, which is really what you want. But if we're thinking of principles of design, let's change this. Let's make this larger. So maybe make this something like 36 point. All right, that's good. And let's center this. Let's use, how many of you use the alignment panel? This is a fantastic tool. It is a precision tool. So if I open up my alignment panel right here down on the right-hand side, it says align to, I want to align it to the artboard. And then I can align that precisely. It's center aligned. Let's just move this up here a little bit. So now, let's go into fit all the windows so I can see all three of my artboards. I need this across, labeled on the other ones. But see, I'm labeling this. This is my website. If I copy this and just delete it, I can come up here and I can file and I can, or edit, I can paste on all artboards. And there we go. Look at that. All I have to do next is double click on that and we'll change that to my iPhone or Android phone. And this will be my tablet. Repetition, we have alignment. We're starting to strengthen principles of design. All right, any questions? The next step, let's zoom in over to here, is I want my, I need the wireframe, or I need the website. So we know that we have to have a home page, a contact page, about us page, and the products and services pages. Okay, there's 4 pages. Again, if I'm going to choose first choice animal clinic. So I can see by their company overview, I have a home page, I have the about us page. If I just have about us, that means our team is going to be part of this page. I have our services, and then I have a contact us page. So let's just go with 4 pages. But the call is yours. So how would this look, right? We have to have the flow of pages, right? How do they go? Well, you log it. The first page you go to is a home page. Should these be different sizes? Should they be? Should these be all the same size? They should be the same exactly. They should all be the same size. Number one, why are they? Let's backtrack. Why should they be a square? Why should they be a square? Is there a reason? Because all your devices are a square shape. True? All the devices are square. So once I go to the home page, then you need to show me the pages that you can access. We would have the About Us page. So these 4 pages, right? If we come back in here, those are my 4 pages. Pretty simple. Now let's create this. I'm going to create a rectangle. So I'm going to use my rectangle tool. As I said, all I'm going to do is use the rectangle tool and the line segment tool. Keep in mind, there should be no color. We don't add color to this. We don't add grayscale to this. They should not be filled with anything. They shouldn't be a solid black. It's just an outline. That's it. Okay? So let's make it as simple as we can. Let's create the first page. I can use my rectangle tool. I can click and drag. As you can see, if I, you can click and drag and then you can kind of guess your page if you want to know the exact size. Or if you want to have an exact size, you can also, did you know that you can just double click and say, okay, I want a page that's going to be 2.5 inches wide by 1.75 inches tall. There we go. I'm going to change my stroke. I don't need my stroke more than really 0.5 point. So exactly, it's like a blueprint. Let's take this and align this. So if I align it to the artboard, look at that. Let's move that. Let's just move this up here a little bit. We'll align it there. Use this tool for you that you have available. It is a precision tool. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is label this page. So you have to label the pages because it doesn't do anything if you just have a blank page. Would you agree? Let's move up to here and let's draw a text frame. I'm just going to draw a text frame. I'm going to label this home. I'm going to make this smaller. I shouldn't have it the same size as my title, that's for sure. So I'm just going to label this like 18 point. And I should center this. Would you agree? Should this be centered or off center? What would you say? Should be centered, correct? Do you all know what a key object is? Do you all know how to use the alignment panel to align these 2 elements together? So if I drag my marquee, I highlight both of those. Both objects are highlighted. If I click on the one, this one, since it is centered, already center aligned to the artboard, if I click on that, notice how it kind of got a little bit blue, a thicker blue outline. That means this is now a key object. It can't move. That means this will be aligned to it. Look at that, perfect. Let's kind of zoom out a little bit. Alignment, we're working with principle, we're strengthening principles of design. Okay, so let's take this same image here and What would we do next? Would we create another image? What's the fastest solution for this? Let's just kind of move this up a little bit. What would you say? Well, we could copy, you can copy it and paste it, but then we still run into that problem of kind of repositioning. Let's group this. Are y'all familiar, or do you ever use the transform and move? So object, transform, and move, and watch. I turn on my preview, and what I want to do is I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to move it and duplicate it, or duplicate it and move it. So I need to have one that comes down this way, right? Because this is my home page, and then we need those 3 other pages. I don't want to move it horizontally, but I want to move it down vertically. I might bring this like 2 inches down. There we go. And then if I copy it, now look, the next thing I have to do is just change this label. And if it's going to be for, if it's for the Red Canyon Golf Village, it would be golf packages. If it was for quality travel, it would be vacation packages. First Choice Animal Clinic is our services. Pretty simple. Okay, now all we need to do is we need 2 more pages, correct? No, you can't make more than 1 copy at a time. Let's take this and we'll just come up here to Object, Transform, and Move. Okay, so the next one, I want to move it horizontally. I don't want to move it down. I want to move it horizontally. So maybe 3 inches. There we go. Maybe a little bit more, maybe 3 1/4. And then I copy. And let's do the same with this one. Let's highlight it again and come up here. And now watch what we can do. Let's move it. And we want to move it to the left, but we have our measurements in there. And I just put a minus sign in there and copy it. Now look, we have exact spacing. So that's repetition, that's alignment. And this would be about us and our team. Okay, how do I move it to the left? You have to highlight the object, Object, Transform, and Move. And then we just remember to move it to the right. I had 3.25, and now if I want to move it to the left, I just put the negative value in there, put a minus sign in there, and copy it. So we just need to change the labeling on this, and I want to get out of isolation mode. And this would be a contact page, right? Contact us. And this would be our other page, which would be about us. And our team. And I can just expand this a little bit. There we go. Now I need to show the flow. I just can't have these sitting here, right? I need to, what I need to do is I've got to have this, I've got to have this area right here. So how do I fix that? Or how do I add that? A line. So let's use our line segment tool. I'm going to use my smart guides too. Do you have your smart guides turned on in Illustrator? If not, go to view and make sure the smart guides are checked. But watch, look at this, tells me this is the center of my box. Okay, now I'm just going to click and I'm going to drag. If I hold my shift key down, it constrains it. And then I can do the same. I can just, once I hit the intersect where it's at the center, I release it. Now, let's come up here and change this stroke. We don't want to get it really large. We don't want it overpowering. And let's come up here to the appearance panel. How many of you are familiar with the appearance panel? This is a really cool tool. It shows you everything about this object. You can see right here, here's my stroke. The cool thing about this, and I'm not going to do this, but I can add multiple strokes. I can add multiple fills. You can really create some phenomenal effects with this that would take you much longer to do by copying and pasting. But right here, if I click on the stroke, I can say, you know what, I want to add a dashed line. So I can say, okay, my dashed line would be maybe, maybe we'll go 6 point. Actually, let's backtrack. And the gap might be 3 point. There we go. And now I need to have a line here, a line here, and a line here, right? That's all I need. So let's use the line segment tool again. And I'm just going to click somewhere in here and drag. If I want to center this, which I do, I can make sure that I'm aligning to the artboard. There we go. And one cool thing about this is, let's just kind of move this up a little bit. Under the stroke, if I click on the stroke again, I can change this to arrowheads. So maybe I'm going to change this to be pointing down, and then this one to maybe, an open, something like that. And then let's take this. So I can use my transform move, and we can, I'm not going to move it vertically, but I can move it somewhere around there. Then I'm going to have to kind of adjust this a little bit. So let's move this over here. If I highlight this and make that the key object, I can say I want this aligned to the right of that. Look at that. And then all we do is just kind of move this down. If I hold my shift key down, it constrains it. And there we go. I can then copy this same, or do the same thing to this one. So we can come up here to object, transform, move, and I just like throwing the negative value in there, copying it, and let's move this down to there. Highlight both of these, make that a key object again, and align it to the left. There we go. That's my website. I'm done. Okay, so let's just go back in. So here would be my final one. So then you would have the phone. I would have the login page, the home page, our services, and then what would be the next logical page? Think about this. Let's go back to each one of these. First Choice Animal Clinic. If I am the user and I am going to and I'm going to go to the website. What's my goal? I have a goal in mind, right? I want to find a vet that's going to provide quality service for my pet, correct? So maybe your additional page on the phone would be book an appointment. That's a good one, wouldn't it be? Because I'm learning about the services that they provide, so then I'm going to book an appointment. For the quality travel, let's take quality travel. If I'm going to the website, I want to book a trip. So maybe it's book a trip. Could be that other page. Because you're teaching them, you're educating them about your services. Well, now you've got their interest, you've piqued their interest. So more likely the next logical page would be, hey, book a trip with us, right? The same with Red Canyon, a golf package. It could be book one of these trips or book a trip. If we go back into here and now look at the next page, the tablet, you have a home page that's already done for you, but you have to come up with another page. Okay, so it can't be, we've already done the book an appointment, it can't be that. So what would other pages be that would be applicable? The pet adoption would be a good one for First Choice Animal Clinic. Maybe it's their grooming services. Maybe it is boarding services. For quality travel, it could be a newsletter. Maybe you might have a newsletter that features, you know, that the person would like to receive every month, a monthly newsletter that they get that would have travel tips, etc. It could be a promotional deal for another type of a trip, or maybe it's a promotional giveaway to to win one of these trips. Red Canyon Golf Village could do the same. You know, it could be Red Canyon Golf Village could be, maybe the next page could be, maybe you're booking a tee time. It could be a newsletter. It could also be, what else do you say it could be? A newsletter would be a generic one for all of them for your tablet. So those are some things that so that's what we do. So now let's jump back into Illustrator. So there is my final sitemap. This is the sitemap. This is what I'm going to be using, the blueprint that I will be using for the wireframe. Any questions? Okay, the tablet page. Okay, so the tablet page, the only one I created was this one, right? So this is the only one I've created. I haven't done these yet because we just don't have the time to do that. I'm using the same, everything I did on this one. I'm using the rectangle tool, and I'm using the line segment tool. So for example, I could, if I wanted to start out a little bit, no, you didn't miss anything. I could take this, I could copy it, I could paste it over here. I could, make this a little bit, maybe something, I don't want to do that. Let's undo that. I could, for this one, I could just say, okay, I'm going to maybe change this up a little bit. We'll change this to login. Remember, it's the first page you go to is the login. And of course, I'm going to want to center this using my alignment tool. That is centered perfect. And then we do the same process. Okay. So did that answer your question? So, okay, the pages aren't the same across all devices. Well, this is representative of a phone. This is more representative of a website, correct? Okay, so they can't, so are you saying, why aren't they all the same? Home, about us, our services, and contact for each one? Because the project instructions say something different. On the mobile phone, you're going to a login page. The next page you go to is the home page. You can't get to the home page until you go to the login page. You can't get to the products and services page until you go to the home page. And then what's that next additional step you take? We talked about that one. So when you go to if you're looking at this website, think about this. This is a website, but when you all go to websites, you can look at a website on your phone, you can look at it on a tablet, correct? It's the same. So this is just kind of giving you a way to think about this a little bit differently. You're still going to the home page here, but I want you to show me another page that they would have. You're thinking about the user experience. Put yourself in the shoes of the user. But you go back into here, this is going to give you so much information. All right. Any questions? So then once you're done with this, all right, so once we're done, you file, you save as. It is going to be a PDF. And whoops, wrong one. And we get the PDF and we save it. Y'all know that you really should never use Illustrator default as a PDF preset. This should never be used. Do you know the reason why, or would you like to know the reason why? Illustrator, when you're saving, and I know you've all run into this before, that if you have an Illustrator file that has colors, it's more complex than this one, and you save it as a PDF and you're using the Illustrator default automatically adds this preserve Illustrator editing capabilities. All you're really doing, and then what happens is you create this PDF file that's larger than the actual Illustrator file, because you're just taking an Illustrator file and disguising it or wrapping it up nice and neatly as a PDF. That's all it is. If I have a PDF, I don't need to have preserve Illustrator editing capabilities. This is all vector. This could really, honestly, this could be the smallest file size because there's no pixel images in here. I don't need preserve Illustrator editing capabilities. I'm not going to be viewing it on the web. So really all you need is view PDF after saving, so you can see it, to give you a second pair of eyes, so to speak. So if I hit save, there it is. Look how nice that is. And that's the smallest file size. That file is just 53 KB. It's incredibly small. I have all 3 pages. I can look at that. And if there were some changes necessary, I have to go back and make them. One thing you want to keep in mind, though, once you save that, once I save that, notice right up here, it's a PDF. So if I ever went back and made changes to this and then closed it out, I saved it, and then I closed it out, and then I went back to my original Illustrator file, those changes would not be there. Why? Because it's a PDF. You've saved it as a PDF. So if changes are necessary, you would have to exit out of here. You'd have to come back in to open recent files and go to that AI file. That's where you want to make the changes at. That's an oversight I see a lot. So, but anyways, with that being said, you ready to move on to the wireframe? All right, I'm going to stop the recording so we have 2 separate recordings. So just hang tight.